Hello everyone, my name is Phawx. This is BIOMUTANT running on the GPD Win 3. This is the 1165 G7 version. Right now, you can see that my PL1 rating is at 25 watt, which you can take a look at right there. Our CPU package power just jumped up to 24 watt, is a little bit below that. Total system power is at 34 watt right now. That'll fluctuate based on whatever the load is going on. The current preset that I have on this particular game, so if I go to System and Settings, tab over to Video, and go to preset. Right here you can see it's at low. If my camera will focus, I think it's doing an okay job. Let's go ahead and go to max. So there's a few things that I want to kind of touch base on right here. Our frame rate is going to tank pretty bad when I go to max. Any particular frame that GPU setting that we go up to will degrade performance noticeably. But more to the point, you can see that our CPU package power has actually gone down. It's not using the full 25 watt, even though before in the low preset we were. And the reason for that is because with all the added effects that are really GPU bound, the GPU really isn't going to go much further than 1.3 gigahertz, and the CPU isn't going to help at all with anything with regard to frame rate. And again, being a DirectX 11 game, the CPU is going to really have to step in a lot for draw calls and a lot of other things that DirectX 12 and Vulkan usually benefit from, so there's things that the CPU has to step in for here to help with frame rate. Now, that's kind of the one thing that I wanted to kind of address here, because it could seem counterintuitive that putting max settings would use less power. Now, obviously, we're getting less frame rate, but we're also using less power while having better image quality overall. So this might be something that you might want to entertain, or just do a locked 30 frame rate and kind of tease with power a little bit in different directions. But just going up in different presets or different settings doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be using more power, because one of the bigger things that's going to be using more power is the CPU portion of the 1165 G7 version. So if we go ahead, go back to settings and go here, go to video, and I'm going to go back to low settings. Now again, this is just so you can see, I am running borderless window. It is 1280 by 720, so it is native 720p. But going to low set, did I select low settings? Alright, so going to low settings right there. Okay, our frame rate's going to pick up, but to achieve that frame rate, that high frame rate, we're really going to be starting to spend a lot on CPU. So if you kind of keep your eye on that, CPU is going to start going up significantly just to achieve that frame rate. However, the game still looks really good at low preset. It does look better at different higher presets, so it's kind of one of those things that you're going to want to evaluate and kind of decide on your own which way you want to go. Quick impression wise from this game, it's kind of weird. It's kind of an interesting game, so I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting a little bit more of a serious game, especially when you get into, you know, customizing your character, and there's a little kind of status attribute circle that you can kind of squiggle around, and if you go all the way into intelligence, his head gets all large. So I went for kind of a balanced build, but I was leaning towards more intelligence and agility, I believe, and then some gear and stuff, and then also just leveling up. I've just been putting more points into my character. Now, the one thing that I totally was not expecting was the Banjo-Kazooie-like talking. And there's legitimately like an Elvis Banjo-Kazooie character with a whole Elvis.
Must be the World Eater that chewed off Out-of-Date's leg. You'll need a hat trick to bring that down. The World Eaters have made their marks on our world over time. That's not the first nor the last village it'll leave in its wake.
So outside of just performance running on a handheld device that you see here, it can easily run, depending on however you want to, whatever TDP you want to run it at. If you didn't want to try to hit 60, you can see that I'm not really getting there fully. So you may want to just target something less than that, and then also lower your TDP accordingly, or try to do different resolutions, different types of settings. But out of the box, I really didn't do much at all except just run it. It ran without problems. And I just kind of went into the settings and started messing around in there, just so you can get a quick idea of what to expect from BIOMUTANT. Quick impression-wise, I don't know how I feel about this game, to be quite honest.
Look, A survivor. Glad to see someone made it out alive.
Let me go and talk to this person, because I don't know where the design, like, when you start talking to people.
He's heard the stories about the terror inflicted by the World Eaters to other enclaves, but never expected one to come all the way here. Saves the attack.
This is more like, you know, kind of Star Wars, where speaking a different language and then the narrator's kind of filling in for you.
What your connection is to this place,
But there's been other characters that are kind of just like repeating gibberish, and I really don't know how to feel about it. It's kind of off-putting. And Banjo-Kazooie is a very silly game, and this game kind of teeters on kind of being serious or gritty in a certain way, and then kind of pulling back and being very, very, I don't know, simple? So that's kind of where I am. It's kind of like, what's funny is I just said the fork in the road for where I have to choose. I feel like there's a fork, there's a divide with my feelings toward this game. And there's a weird juxtaposition between of, you know, the game looks really nice. It kind of almost feels like it wants to treat the game seriously. There's this very Star Wars-esque type of way that the characters are talking to you. I don't know why they just wouldn't have subtitles. And they have a narrator speaking on top of that, so it's not that they couldn't afford dialogue. It's just really weird. And then you have just really silly moments that are like, you know, just very Banjo-Kazooie, just very rare N64 type moments that are happening. So, you know, there's gunplay, there's magic, there's melee, and then you can kind of mix and match all between it. And it's kind of cool how that combat system works, except I find myself having a weird whiplash with regard to the story of the game, insofar of how it wants to almost be serious and silly at the same time. So I kind of don't really respect the story at all, and I'm kind of just going through the paces, which at this moment I'm kind of just trying to find the fun of the core game loop. And it's okay. And the game looks really nice. But I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on this game. I'm not saying it's going to be... I'm not saying I don't enjoy the game, but I'm just not really feeling it, is what I'm saying. Anyway, that's a quick impression for me on this particular game. It runs really, really well with zero effort. Day one it worked fine. There was a patch, but nothing really changed performance-wise. That's pretty much it for my look at Biomutant and my quick impression so far. And obviously I didn't touch base on there, but that's as far as this video is going to go. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.